Hey guys, so what better way to celebrate Memorial Day weekend than with a ton of food and music? Well, for me, it was attending the annual Loisaida Festival in Alphabet City in a neighborhood I grew up in, and one which we call the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And after 30 years, I got to learn a ton about the adversity and poverty that these communities faced and overcame. And this year, it was dedicated to immigrant communities. And I also got to meet the politicians, the artists, and the community leaders who work hard every day to make sure that the voices in these communities don't go unheard. So now I'm going to share some of my moments from the festival, and I'm definitely going to share what I learned. So here we go. Hi. So on this week's episode of Keeping It Different, we're celebrating the Loisaida Festival. So I'm here, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the Loisaida Inc. Center and what the festival means to the communities.
Yes, I'm Libertad Guerra. I'm the director of the center. And basically, I'm so honored to be able to say that this center still exists. It's a survival victory of a Puerto Rican community cultural center in the Lower East Side, where so many institutions used to exist, but they've been displaced or they didn't survive a lot of harsh times.
This community again and again has welcomed generation after generation of immigrants. There's very near here, there's a church called St. Bridget's Church, which is sometimes called the Famine Church. And of course the famine that they're referring to is the 19th century Irish famine, where my forebears were from. My father immigrated to this country as a 20-year-old not so long ago. And of course we've seen generation of generation after immigrants in this community. And throughout this city, a city where nearly half of all people who live in the city were not born in the United States, where a majority of us, if you add those of us whose parents were born outside the United States, are embodying what we think of as America, a place where we continue to renew our commitment to newcomers, we continue to renew our country, and in this community where we continue to renew our commitment to arts and culture that spring organically from the community.
We basically do a lot of cultural programming, educational programming that engages the community in all sense. And one of our key examples that we've maintained throughout the years is the Loisaida Festival, which has become a historical event.
Definitely, yeah.
We're celebrating this year 3 decades.
Wow.
Started out as a very grassroots thing,
Right.
the people, the working class people that couldn't go out in Memorial Day weekend, they would, they said, why don't we do our own vacation in town,
Yeah.
And that's how it survived, and it's now 30 years, and we've had one of the, the best performers, like Puerto Rican and Latino,
Yeah.
We're always celebrating that Latino heartbeat of the Lower East Side, because no matter how much the neighborhood changes, there's always a core community of Latinos here, and you can never forget that. But at the same time, we're about inclusiveness,
Right.
So the festival is really important for what New York is becoming, so people know that the Lower East Side, no matter how much it changes, there's a visible element that happens right there in the public, in the street, free,
Right.
for everyone to come. There's no excuse, and there's so many multiple spaces of access. We have a parade, we have theater, we have obviously live music, we have food, we have arts. So it's like so many events in one day from 12 to 5, where you just come enjoy, and it's completely free.
And it's celebrating the community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's also supporting the survival and the resistance and the sustainability of a center like this one, Loisaida Center, where we're producing so much stuff and we're giving a platform to so many Latino artists and cultural producers in so many genres.
And I'm here with JW Cortes. Thank you for joining us. So obviously you must be really excited. You are emceeing this big event on Sunday. Can you just talk about what it means to you?
Well, this is our second year hosting the Loisaida Festival. It means everything, right? I think so much of the work that we have done within our community is for moments like this. My fans probably best know me as Detective Carlos Alvarez, but what I really need them to know is that I'm one of the few Latinos working on primetime television. I represent them. I am one with them. And so to come here to Loisaida, which is historically a Latin community and just a community of so much diversity, it allows me the opportunity to shake hands, to be in front of them, and most importantly know that I haven't forgot about them, that I'm a a true lover of all things Loisaida.
Also, what are you most excited for on Sunday?
You know, what I really love the most is just the interaction.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, most people don't know that I'm a kind of funny guy. And so, you know, just, you know, siendo charlatan, being up there making jokes, kissing a lot of our elders, showing that love and respect for them, and them reciprocating. You know, when they reciprocate, it warms my heart like nothing else.
So the people, really.
The people, and they are a loud
bunch.
And I love it.
My name is Daniel Polno, and I'm one of the lead artists in this Loisaida Puppet Parade Festival. And one of my mantras and our mantras is radical inclusion. And that is like bringing art and arts programming and including and incorporating populations and demographics that are underserved or often excluded or marginalized.
That's wonderful.
I love working with, for example, artists, children and adults with developmental disabilities, Down syndrome and so forth, and at-risk youth, so-called at-risk youth, and you know those terms are always changing, but you know what I'm talking about. And often when I go into a community or a project, they've had to fundraise for it, and they exclude these people because they don't want it to be subversive. And I'm like, no, the opposite. We want them in. It's radical inclusion.
I love that, because it's like you can give different people the same exact materials, and what they each come up with can be so different, because everyone's perspective and ability, right, is actually going to develop into something very, very different, which is so important, and at the core of also our work, which is, you know, the fact that everyone's difference can be used to make a difference. So
absolutely, and absolutely, and well said. And incorporating these populations that are marginalized into these community art projects, it's always full of so many treasures, and it's an untapped thing. No one has ever tapped into these people and what they are capable of. Right. And it's a learning experience for everyone. Yeah. Everyone wins.
No, and that's such a great point. It's you know, if you're not even tapping into these communities, how do you know what kind of artwork can come out of it? What kind of creativity? What kind of minds are there? So it's amazing that you're going in and you're providing, you know, art and creativity to these communities that typically wouldn't have it.
Absolutely, and frankly, it's often met with resistance. Like, this is great, but you don't know our guys. And I'm kind of like, I'm secretly thinking maybe you don't know your guys. Yeah. And it plays out more often than not. It's astonishing. But to come here and collaborate with children, with youth, with adults, professional artists, people who have never made art before, people who make art every day, they all combine. And it's just this incredible synergy of collaboration. It's one of our magic words is we collaborate with anyone from the community who walks through our doors.
So many of the people that I spoke with had similar messages, but one person in particular stood out.
My name is Bob Lee. I'm with the Asian American Art Center. We've been in New York City since 1974, so we're old-timers. And I've been very honored today to be one of the honorees at this event. This is a very substantial organization. I've participated in some of the meetings, and we've worked together in some ways. So I feel this is a really strong organization.
So obviously we're talking about the community and improvements in the community. What do you think are some of the improvements that you would suggest specifically for this area, for the Lower East Side?
What is unique about the People's Cultural Plan is it's not just about arts. It realizes that to do something significant for our arts in our various different cultures and communities, you have to combine that with what we are suffering in terms of being evicted from our homes and keeping a community whole. In housing and in labor, you have so many inequities. You have artists working for nothing that support a vast, gigantic, multi-million-dollar arts industry. Yeah. You have artists who don't have a place to live, who don't have a studio, just like all of our tenants and our people are getting evicted, and zoning regulations. So our plan is unique in that we realize that once you bring together and fuse the issues of arts, the issues of housing, the issues of labor, then you come up with a potential for equity true equity for people of color, for everybody in the city. And that is very special to bring those two together. And we hope that our city can come close to that. Eventually, we want to transform the city so that it does realize that the people come first, not real estate. You can endorse online at the www.peoplesculturalplan.org. Go there, endorse it, because we are the voice, really, of what our community needs, the inequity that we have suffered, and where we need to go to make our city a true city for the people.
So I had a great time at the festival, but I also had a couple of key takeaways. The first is that recognizing others and their struggles that they've overcome is the first step to really understanding them. Second is that inequities are real, but we can all impact change if we really want to. And finally is that we can celebrate unity and promote radical inclusion. So I agree that we should get out there and try to include people who typically wouldn't be included. That's the first step. So hopefully you'll catch me and Tayo next time on Keeping It Different. Until then, just keep using your difference to make a difference.